Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about bearings. So these bearings here that we're looking at, sometimes you'll hear them called ball bearings. Um, Other names you might hear is like rotary bearings because they're for rotation as opposed to linear. We'll have another video on linear bearings, but most of these here you see is for rotation. So you have the classic plain ball bearing. So the way these bearings work is there's a lot of tiny balls inside a track, inside um, like a donut shaped cylinder, and then the inner circle will rotate relative to the outer circle based on the contact of the small balls inside, and then that will allow you to have very low friction when it's rotating. So you can see this here has like an open cavity. So this may have problems if you care about the environment and it could get dirty. So some are closed surface ones you can see here, like some are closed and also lubricated inside. And then based on your load that you're dealing with, you could have a high load ball bearings. And then you have different types that have like self-aligning. So sometimes it's hard to align it. So these self-aligning ones have a little bit of more give in terms of the axial direction. So you may want to use that. And then there's also types that are flanged. So the flanged ones will allow you to press it in from one side of your assembly, so it could create like a stop um, in terms of how far you press your bearings. So typically, when you go spec it out, oh yeah, these here are some more different types. Yeah, some of the bearings here you'll see come with a whole like an entire structure that's for you to mount it. So it has a whole housing. That's usually a term they'll call it, housings. So this is already inside, packaged in a whole assembly for you, and then you typically just need to worry about where to place the mounting holes. So that's what these are here. And then you also have like different special types. You have like thrust ball bearings. This here is usually if you have something that's like rotating up on top, and then like for a lead screw, then that would be sitting on top of that. Okay, so there's a lot of different types, but I would say the most common ones you'll see would be um, the classic ball bearings like these, and then also the ones with the housing. Okay, so let's take a look at how. Let's take a look at a classic, maybe a classic flange one. So um, let's go with our, let's see, ID of, could do a 1/4 inch one. So for a shaft of 1/4 inch, see a product detail. So you can see that the outer diameter here, this is typically undersized. And then you can also see the shaft hole in here is also undersized. Okay, so a lot of times to have very good contact, there's certain rules you may need to follow in terms of how to press in the shafts and the tolerance of the shafts to have a good fitting. So I won't go too much details of that in this video, but you could look up some of the specifications in terms of how to press it in or what tolerance to have to achieve the best fitting. But for a lot of prototypes that you make just for something quick and dirty, you typically want something that's easy to assemble, so you may deal with tolerances that are a little bit more forgiving. Okay, so I'm going to download this ball bearing in our rotary bearings folder. So if we download this, you could take a look. You could see the tiny balls inside and the track. So if I do a section view, you could probably see a little bit better. Yeah, so you can see the track in here is what allows the balls to stay in place and rotate. So usually this will be pressed into something, and then the shaft will be in contact with this surface, and then the circle will be rotating back and forth. Okay, so let's go ahead and make a plate. And there's one more thing I didn't touch on quite yet. So let me duplicate this tab. Sometimes you also see it's gonna be the double row ones. Let's see if we can find it. Sometimes you'll see it in these main assemblies. Let's search the bearings again. Sometimes you'll see it here. Let's look up double bearings. Yeah, so these here's are two rows of balls. So you can see that. Sometimes you may have something that needs more contact, so that's where some of the in this case it's for self-aligning, but there's other cases where you already have the two bearings spaced out for you. Um, not sure where that one is right now, but you could look up some later on. But then sometimes if you don't already have two spaced out, like let's say you have a long shaft, then in this case you could create your own structure to handle that. Okay, so what I mean by that is if we make another U channel, so let's say we're sketching from the top. Let's make this 1 inch, make this 2 inches, extrude boss this to be, just make it 0.9. Let's go back to our rotary bearings. Just call this U channel. So we may want this a little bit thicker because if we look at this, the minimum distance that this is going to be 0.15. So we could go ahead and make this a little bit thicker. Let's call this 0.2 instead. Okay, so to have this fit properly, we know that this is a 0.625 hole. And in the hole wizard, we could actually account for this. So if we look back in our drawing here, this is 0.625 and then 0.69. And the depth is 0.04. Okay. So we can make a counter bowl hole. Counter bowl, where is it? Hole here, and then you could choose. I think it was this one. You can make a custom one, or you can also do like a socket. I forgot which one it was. This one. Yeah, this one was a counter bore, and then sometimes you could just choose a screw, and then you could do a custom sizing. That's another way of doing it. So that might be easier, but you could see here that's the main hole here. You could see that this one this one that we wanted was 0.69. So we'll input that. And then the inner hole is gonna be the 0.625, right? And then the depth of the top part, I think it was 0.04. Yeah. So this here will give us our bearing hole. And if I save this, So this is a very weird location. I'm just gonna go normal to it and let's just place it at a little bit better position. And let's call this point 0.5. Okay, so if I put it in my assembly, put my U channel, and then this bearing here. Okay, so if I mate this to this hole, it should look like this. And then if I mate this to that surface, you can see that this bearing should be assembled. Okay, so if I do a section view, we could take a look at how that looks like. You can see the bearing lip will rest right in this pocket. And then you can see the bearing has this little cutout here is to allow you to have a corner to fit inside. And then the rest of the bearing will just sit inside this counter bore hole. Okay, so we could repeat this process for the other part. So if I look here, I could add a second one. And then just gonna delete. If I edit it, normal 2, and then let's put it in the same location. It did not like that. Let's delete that point there. Okay, and then we'll draw our point here. Okay, so we have 2 now. We could have also mirrored entities if we'd like, but go ahead and do it this way. I think the mates misbehaved. Okay, let's try this again. Okay, we're gonna mate this, and then we'll flip it. And then we'll choose this surface to mate with that surface. Okay, so now we have a structure here with 2 bearings. And if we had a shaft that went in between, we could go ahead and do that. So just quickly make a 1/4 inch shaft here. Make a sketch in our front plane. Let's make this 3. Okay, I'm gonna drag and drop this in here, and then gonna mate it to. Let's try this again. Didn't like that. Let's make this floating. Okay, so now we have a shaft that is connected to the body. So we can apply our shaft collar and retaining ring concepts here, but now what we gain is if the shaft if it were to rotate around the structure, then because of the bearing, it will have very low friction. So that would be the advantage of the bearing. So if I do a section view, we could see what's happening here. You can see we have a shaft that's going between 2 bearing sets. And the reason why you may not just want one bearing on one side is because if you have something long, there's a moment arm, so there's going to create a lot of torque on one side. So usually, anytime you have something long, you want to have it supported on both ends. And you could do moment calculations and all that good stuff to see where you need to place it exactly, but sometimes intuition is good enough to let you have good judgment to figure out where to place it. So this will do for bearings, and hopefully this will give you a good idea of how to take one and put it in your assembly, and just general tips on why you need it. Okay, so if you found this video helpful, give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.